guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Gabby Pinkerton. I am a few things. I'm a destination wedding planner, so sometimes you will find some wedding related content. And I am a Pinterest strategist for wedding pros. So obviously a lot of Pinterest content on this channel, but every so often I like to share my lifestyle. We also recently relocated from Los Angeles to Nashville, and I had a lot of views on my Nashville home tour a year ago, and I am due for an update, so stay tuned for that. In the next couple of weeks I will be giving you an update of our home, which I don't know if you can see behind me, but there's some rooms that are still pretty empty. We moved from a 400 square foot boat in Los Angeles to a 2,100 square foot house, so you can imagine we did not have a lot of furniture to carry over. But anyway, I digress. Today, I am taking you guys through some important Pinterest mistakes you might be making. But before we get to that, I want to share this fun little Spring Equinox brunch we did at my friend Annabelle's in downtown Nashville. As we're starting to get back together with some friends, this was super fun. We had, oh my gosh, she made like an incredible buffet for us. And then we all just gathered, I think there was like 7 or 8 girls, and we all enjoyed a little brunch. So I hope this brings you a little inspiration for some of your gatherings as you start to get back together with friends and family. And then we're gonna jump into the Pinterest mistakes you are probably making in 2021. So before we go any further, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, because you'll get notified every time a video comes out. And it truly helps my tiny little channel on Pinterest get more exposure. So it's free for you to do. I would love the support, and let's go. If this doesn't make you feel like springtime, I don't know what will. We had such a great little brunch with the girls. I feel like I would want to do this every month, but hey, I know I'm not the one hosting, so I know it's a lot of work. Check out this amazing spread that Annabelle made for us, from a yogurt station with vegan options to homemade little egg and quinoa bites and the most amazing bagel station. Let me know in the comments below what your first official gathering will be this year, now that we are slowly starting to be allowed to get back together safely. And I'm dying to know what you guys are going to be doing. Is it going to be a summer party, a small intimate brunch like this, or something else? Funny because I was asking everyone to be cool and relax. Don't freak out that there's a camera recording us while we're eating. And so everybody was like straightening up and sitting properly, but eventually we all kind of forgot the camera was recording and we got back to business with eating and chit-chatting. It was so good to get together. Also, I realize I'm looking pretty country today. It's Monday, didn't wash my hair, just got, getting back into the work week, so no comments on my outfit, please. Let's dive into 2021 Pinterest mistakes you might be making in general. I was gonna say as a wedding pro, but honestly, this goes for any creatives. Mistake number 1. You're repinning too much of other people's content. So way back in the day, Pinterest wanted you to repin other people's stuff, right? It was very collaborative, very much like resharing the same old content. So I don't know if you remember being on Pinterest at this time, but you would search for something and it was always the same images that popped up, right? Pinterest clued in pretty quickly that they're not gonna be able to grow the platform unless they're requiring people to add fresh new content. A new algorithm that kind of kicked in 2020 is requiring users like ourselves, business owners, to come out with fresh content regularly. So make sure that you're not simply repinning other people's stuff, and it's okay to do that a little bit. And as long as it's relevant to the board that you created, that's fine. But make sure you're also pumping out some new content. Personally, we do anywhere from 2 to 5 pins per day. We do a mix of just images and some regular pin designs. And I'll add a little link to the video where I show you how to create new pins. Mistake number 2, you're using generic images. And what I mean by that is Pinterest has literally said in their guidelines, they want you to have eye-catching images. Like, think of yourself as you are scrolling, if you are your own user, as you are scrolling through the Pinterest homepage, is there anything that you're like, oh my God, I need to stop my scroll, this is amazing, right? Like, I mean, there are those images from time to time, but sometimes I find myself really just scrolling, I'm like, same old, seen it, not interesting. Or sometimes I stop because there's text overlay on top and I'm like, ooh, yes, I do want to know more about that. So your users, the users or your ideal clients on Pinterest are not going to know to click on your pin unless it's super unique content or at least eye-catching images, and that it is keyworded properly, or that there's text overlay telling them exactly what they're going to click through to. So that's really important that you guys keep that in mind, because the goal here is we really want to stop people from continuing past our images. We want to stop them in their tracks and have them click through to our website. So make sure you're not using generic images. And with that, I would caution on not using too many stock photos unless you're editing them with text overlay. So I've seen the same image of a desk and computer chair so many times on Pinterest, and many people have added text overlay on top, but to be honest, I feel like it's being overused and Pinterest is slowly catching on to that image being like, okay, we've seen that a million times. So definitely feel free to use stock images, but make sure you're being very clear by switching out your text on top to make it seem as though it's a brand new image. All right, mistake number 3, you are being too broad. So not necessarily that it's a mistake, but I think it's a missed opportunity for you to identify and capture your ideal client. That sounds really crazy, like capture your ideal client. What I think is happening is a lot of people are keywording their pins a little too vague, a little too broad. So maybe they're captioning it as, I don't know, wedding ceremony. Well, okay, what about, is it a beach wedding ceremony? Is it a wedding ceremony in Alaska? Is it a non-traditional XYZ wedding ceremony? How can you help your ideal clients find you? By getting more specific. So if you are too broad, you're going to get lost in the sea of keywords that are very broad as well, right? Like weddings, wedding ceremony, wedding reception. But if you can add a keyword right before it, which I call a long tail keyword, then it's helping people, it's helping you narrow down your net in a ways, but it's also helping your ideal client find you more quickly and more strategically. So think about that when you're captioning your pins. Make sure you're thinking about, okay, this would be the wide term. How can I just make it a little more specific? And typically all you need to do is to add an adjective of some sort, some type of way to describe it a little more in depth. When in doubt, think about a location, right? Can you talk to us about this location where the wedding happened? In that case, people will start searching for maybe the name of their wedding venue or a description like beach wedding ceremony ideas, and then they can find your content there. Mistake number 4 is that you are linking to unrelevant or spammy URLs. Is that a word? Unrelevant? Non-relevant. Or spammy URLs. Okay, so here's what happens. I always like to put myself in my ideal client's shoes. What if I am browsing on Pinterest, I find your pin, or I find my pin, I find a pin that I really like, it's eye-catching, great, I stopped in my tracks. I click on it and I can see the caption now, right? So, oh yeah, I would love to learn more about or see more inspiration from this beach ceremony. And I click through to the website and it takes me to a product page, or it takes me to your contact page, or even worse, I feel, it takes me to your home page. It's so unrelevant, right? It's nothing to do with what I was talking about in the image or what the user was talking about in the image. And so the person who finds that image on Pinterest is really bummed because they're like, darn, I thought I was going to get more inspiration, more images. They're not ready to buy from you yet. We have to remember, they're coming to Pinterest and they don't know you exist. They're seeing your content for the first time. What do they need to do? They need to start to build like, know, and trust in you, right? So we want to take them over to ideally a blog post. A blog post where you can start to share more images, you can start to explain your style, how you work, whatever that is. And then they might start like poking around your website and eventually go to your inquiry page. So I just want to caution you, make sure not to make your links too spammy or unrelevant. The other thing is, not only will the user know pretty quickly if it's not relevant content, but Pinterest will also know if they're realizing that the user is bouncing off really quickly from that link. They're going to be like, ugh, this is not a good pin. People are not liking what it's linking to. We're not going to promote it, or we're not going to boost it. So be very mindful. And I'd rather you create less pins, but be very intentional with the pins you create, as opposed to creating mass amounts of pins and linking to spammy or just URLs that you are defaulting to because you have no other content to post about. So keep that in mind. All right, guys, well, there you go. Those are 4 mistakes that you might be making in 2021. And we know the algorithm has totally changed. So I really encourage you to think about these mistakes and correct them when you can. Comment below, let me know what you're struggling with the most and see if I can maybe help. There's a ton more videos on my page that will hopefully show you kind of the new algorithm ways and what you can do about it. And be sure to let me know if there's other content you would like to see on this channel. I am more than happy to create new weekly videos for you guys at any time. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I will catch you next week.